And you're tuning into the Pan-African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Jody, from Monday to Friday. Stay tuned. Andrew Robinson, the local spectrum justice for all. Big up, man.
Bringing communities together around the world. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Greetings and salutations, Massive is Andrew Robinson, all the way in Switzerland. And you're tuning into the Black Fire
kupeleka na huko Mr. Kid mana vituko nimezoea kushimoda since flow so misioni kaneza stuplo kanihoma siwezi pata wana dhani niko aje cold na please mimi nimesota so sioni utachimba pa gold Minnesota hadi LA sama panis wanataka give niliwaambia watu wanatoka Zealand na gata heavy rate iko kama ni party base wanaambiwa si wali relocate okay tuambia nini waseni mchape remit au send wave I'm not real I'm purely fake so kuna dhani umemistake confused na lejeshi ya genge bitch inaangushwa kireke kama unataka kufikia kipembe roja tisi sale kinembe kama unataka kufikia kipembe roja tisi sale kinembe cry baby unalialia shika tipigi and wipe your tears at kupendi my dear hizo ni nini ndo unasikia kwa heri follow your peers huko mbio wachane na misa
bye baby cry baby Just a little full of sunny. Cry baby, I do like a cry baby. Story when you used to feel like I was sunny. Cry baby, I do like a cry baby. You just a little full of sunny. Cry baby, I do like a cry baby. Story when you used to feel like I was sunny. Bad girl like polite, be like, when they see me drop dead man, we never like. Book it up, wine up. Make a man them call me the diner. Top girl, let me keep the designer. If not, I give me designer. Tic-tac, shave legs, hala mikuda tukubembeleza. Dak, shebeleza. G-string imejaza hela. Anapenda nikokodera. Tunatoka kabila pressure. Kuna tumibompa, oh my gosh. Kwanza ni kwa madela. Sisaba usiku na dayo ass left, right, cheek, neck. Kitanda ni 6x6 mpya na date blazer. Sisaba usiku na dayo ass left, right, cheek, neck. Kitanda ni 6x6 mpya na date blazer. Cry baby, like a cry baby. Nilikushow style buku full of sunny. Cry baby, like a cry baby. Story kwa news, feel like I was sunny. Cry baby, like a cry baby. Nilikushow style buku full of sunny. Cry baby, like a cry baby. Story kwa news, feel like I was sunny.
Yes, and good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening to me from. Karibuni sana to another beautiful session of the Pan-African Bliss Show. And of course, you tuned in onto the Black Fire Network radio station, media of the 21st century. Shout out to everyone with me on Facebook, those who are just joining. I see many of you this early in the morning. To all our diaspora family, Karibuni sana. Thank you so much for finding time and tuning into the morning show. And I hope you guys are doing amazing. It is exactly 11 minutes past 1 p.m. on my end. An amazing afternoon, an amazing Thursday so far. I can't complain, but I hope you are also doing amazing. For those who are getting ready for work, whatever you are doing, and you are literally right here with us, I appreciate you. Shout out to everyone with us also on YouTube, on the radio station, and also on Rumble, and those who get to catch the shows on Spotify as well, or rather on Spreaker. Asanteni sana for being part of this beautiful, beautiful network. Shout out to everyone with me on TikTok. Now wacheki kwa wingi sana. Shout out to Karis, big up to you. Thank you so much for tapping the screen. Shout out to Pasi, Kay, shout out to you. Shout out to Murigi, Muriki in the building. Shout out to Mombosi. Karibu niseme Mombasa. But anyway, big up to you and to everyone live with me on this other platform. Today, our conversation, it shall be a video I shall be sharing. I know it's not the Wednesday lockdown session, but of course, we're here to learn and get informed about what is happening in the continent of Africa. We shall be talking about the U.S. openly admitting the reason why they have their military bases in Africa. And this is so beautiful to see them admitting the truth, One of it they say is they are seeking influence, and how they speak also and explain of how they feel threatened because Russia is also seeking for the same, which personally I feel, I'm 50-50 about Russia, and I've said this a couple of times, and I'll still stick to that. I don't feel like Russia is seeking for an influence, especially when you talk about them helping Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, in acquiring good weapons and building strong military bases as well, and all that we've seen the U.S., rather the West, has denied Africa. So I'm not sure what is whatever they're looking for, whatever benefit they're looking for, despite helping these three countries. And if they're going to expand, if we end up maybe attaining democracy as a continent, or maybe majority of the countries, we don't know if Russia is also willingly coming to help the rest of the countries. And if so, what is it they're looking for? What is the influence they're also seeking for? Because, it's just the same enemy with a different clothes, different behaviors, but they are the same people. That is just basically what I'll say. And along our conversation today, we shall also be talking about Nigeria president, and where we can see also the Nigeria crisis of insecurity also rising up. We saw this week, at the beginning of the week, Tinubu said he shall not pay any ransoms, to those who are actually demanding a lot of money to release the students and women who are for the last 2 weeks. We've seen the latest abductions that have been happening at actually the largest since 2014 and 2021. And it is crazy that the Nigerian president, there's nothing he has done about this. I've spoken about this actually this week, and I've said he's the one to blame. We question the weapons, where they're coming from, and so much, but that is what we shall be debating on as we give our thoughts. And where along, the president has also actually banned foreign trips by government officials. We shall be talking about this. There's a time, and I'll come back with the charts which give us how many days he has spent so far outside the African continent since he came into power. And we've seen him recently. He has been given a an airport named after him, and this is because he has actually created a lot of development in the country of Nigeria. We're trying to question where, we're trying to see where. We saw a couple of things, and Nigeria is still the same swamp of sewages where people are literally getting a lot of diseases, and that is what I know. Along that, we shall also be talking about Zimbabwe mining boss. You remember this lady, she was arrested actually last year. That is Miss I don't know I can't remember the position she stands for in Zimbabwe, but she was arrested last year for trying to smuggle gold that was worth $330,000. And that is in 2020. And she was arrested, and she was released, and again she has been accused and arrested over fraud. Along that, we shall also be talking about Ethiopia, and last but not least also about Kenya, because finally Kenyans are giving their reviews about the concerning deployment of our troops to Haiti. And I'm so glad to see that our people understand what is happening. I was quite shocked to see majority of us do understand what is going on. And that is so impressive personally as for me. And I'm so glad to see that our people are well informed and understand what we are literally getting ourselves into. But back to the music, I began with an amazing jam. Of course, you know it. That is Cry Baby by the one and only Diana Codes. But we shall be getting back to one more jam, and this is Tanasha Donna, Complication Ships. Hope you guys get to enjoy. I'll be back with a quote of the day and much more of today's news and updates. Shout out to you, Joe Mosquito. Karibu sana.
Super complicated, got me feeling agitated. But for you, I'll try be patient. Mapenzi baby, siku za kuwaza daily, nahisi kama mali. Eye to I can't let go. I won't try to take control. I'm sure you already know we can make it official. Never be easy, boy. Never be easy, boy. Never play like a toy. We just wanna enjoy the good times with you. Obligation, staying in friendship, you need a song. You could be mine. Obligation,
The feeling is very, very mutual, baby. I just wanna see you, so my formula, baby. I just wanna feel you. Do me nicely, do me gently in your country. Passa, passa, baby, when I passa. I wanna love you till I passa. You're really special to me, and I'm very welcome, cause I wanna be your new girl.
obligation. Be mine. Obligation.
Yes, that is Tanasha Donna, and I love me some Tanasha Donna. My quote of today is a Thursday thought, and it says, think about the little things that make life great. Try do that. Try not complain, and try be grateful about everything that you literally wish to have today that you have, and you barely even recognize how far you've come. Personally, I'm a big advocate of always look back, embrace the moments you suffered, embrace the moments you cried. Just look back and be proud of how far you've come today. But before we get started, I love for those who are here for the first time to welcome you all. To those who are with us maybe on TikTok, on YouTube, on Rumble, Karibuni Sana. Remember, you can follow us, rather join us officially. That is through our website, which has amazing offers. And I want to share a little bit of that before I get started. We do have an amazing website for those who especially who have an Apple phone and are struggling to literally connect with the Black Hot Fire Network. You can do that by just joining. That is the website. That is the www.blackhotfirenetwork.com, which gives you the chance to actually create your own profile, catch with the amazing shows. You can also listen to the radio live over there as you continue with your with your day, and you can also be able to share amazing articles, amazing videos that is on our social page. And we also do go live sometimes if our content is too, rather our information is too much for YouTube. We also do tend to go live a couple of times, and actually I'm live right there. So if you get to join the website, you can be able to stream live not only with me on YouTube, but also on our show page, which you can also be able to pin your comments under the chat page. But we also have our shop, and under our shop, we also have the apparel store, and we have the Black Hot Fire Network store. Under the Black Hot Fire Network store, we have amazing things that have just been featured there currently. And under these categories, you can find amazing consumer electronics. You can find some apparel. You can find home appliances. You can find some sports and entertainment gifts, and entertainment wear. You can find gifts and crafts. You can find timepieces and jewelry, luggages and bag and cases. Literally, in case you find anything interesting on our network, that is on the shop page, the Black Hot Fire Network store or the shop, kindly do order and they will be delivered right to your doorstep. I mean, look at this. Look at these amazing things. Personally, I said, if anyone would just get me what is in the gift and craft store, something that I love there, I'd be so happy. But anyway, karibuni sana once again as we get started. Start with Kenya, my very own country, and some positive news, which personally I'm very happy to report before we get to what is happening, negatively in the continent of Africa, because we never lack any negative information until we create this media of ourselves. We form our own narrative, expect to be getting just bad news, especially, from the continent of Africa. But the continent is beautiful. Shout out to Princess in the building. Shout out to Kay Williams. Good morning. Hope you're doing amazing. I see you are already at work. I'm the one who's late right here. But anyway, karibu sana. Hope you're doing good. Let me share this video. So today I've confused. Okay, I got it. So yeah, let me share this video of where we can see Kenyans speaking about their minds on Haiti deployments, which is something beautiful. Personally, I'm so happy to see that people are really well informed and understand what is happening.
But the Kenyan government's decision to deploy police.
Ni machambazi wanaweza kumaliza hawa. Wale watu ni hatari sana. Hakuna haja kupeleka watoto wenyewe waende wawe.
Yeah, so this man says that this is dangerous and that the Kenyan government should be very cautious or should caution itself before they deploy our people there. Remember, we've been taking you guys through what has been happening. We've seen that we saw the Prime Minister of Haiti withdrawing from his seat. That was a weekend after he couldn't land back in Haiti. That was after he was in Kenya to have talks with the Kenyan president about the deployment of our troops. Along with that, we saw that also Benin did offer to contribute 2,000 troops, and this makes actually the total number of the troops that are supposed to be deployed there, for what I know, 3,000 combining with Kenya. But we saw that after him withdrawing, Kenya was confused on what they should do. We saw Kithure Kindiki saying that they shall hold a little bit on the deployment of the police officers, rather the troops, to Haiti. We also saw a video that's leaked out on how they're doing their training. Personally, I didn't like it, because we're talking about people who are funded with heavy weapons, and you just have the bare minimum, you know. That is what I can literally say. But we've seen, after Kithure Kindiki saying that they shall hold the deployment of the police officers, that is, our President William Ruto came and said that they shall not stop until actually Haiti gets to appoint someone else or another minister or official. After that is done, they shall continue with the deployment of the officers. He said that he promised the US government, the EU, the UN, he shall deliver, and there's no backing out. That was the information coming from our very own dear President William Ruto. And still we saw people questioning, and we've been talking about the matters of insecurity itself right here in Kenya, in places like in Baringo County, in Samburu County, in Turkana. We've seen last week a 11-year-old girl was raped brutally by a gang of people who raided and killed a lot of people. That is in Samburu County, and an 11-year-old girl was raped badly, and none of this is being talked about. Why are we rushing to deploy troops to Haiti while we have crisis to deal with in our very own country? And that is what exactly this man says in this video. He says it is very dangerous once we're taking people's children outside another country or miles away for them to go battle what we should be battled first and foremost right here in our very own country.
Wakae tu Kenya hii, walinde Kenya. Iko bandits tupande hiyo ya Baringo, iko wapi? Hatujamaliza hiyo, tunapeleka tena huko.
I don't exactly. That is a very good question. And being honest, personally, I'm surprised that is an old man, an aged man, let me use that, who is actually brilliantly speaking like this. Normally, this age group of our people, African people, don't understand what is happening. They just go along with the news, the mainstream media information, but they don't have clear details about majority of the things happening in the rest parts of the world. So personally, I was so happy seeing that this is actually someone very aged, probably someone's grandpa, and he understands clearly what is happening. So you want to tell me our very dear own president does not get what is happening if someone this aged can get it? I mean, it's not like he's really young, but our very own president is not like he's really young, but he's still young. But yeah,
don't support it really, kwa sababu you find that even the prime minister himself, he has resigned. And when you are sending the police officers, these people are not, they have not learned the art of combat. Exactly. We are sending our police officers, not even the army.
They don't have no training. I mean, what training do we have? What training? Have you seen those troops who are being trained? What kind of training is that? We're talking about people who are funded with weapons. Weapons. You literally go in with a machete there to do what? How many bullets can you again? How many bullets do you have with you? We need to be better.
Not even the GSU, not even the other people that are learned on that area. So it is kind of telling our people to go there to commit suicide in a way.
Exactly.
It is sending them to their early grave.
I feel like they should do this.
I'm glad that woman also understand, because that basically, and I remember also Keith saying this, that these people are going to come back, you know, in caskets, or probably you're not even going to see their bodies. Because mind you, we have one of them. We have a group of the troops that had already been deployed by our government, secretively, I guess. Because remember, we had Kithure Kindiki, kama sijakosea, and I think the president himself, he came out after people were criticizing this deployment, and he said, you're yapping when we already have a group of people who are already there. And we saw among the group of people who were secretively taken there without us knowing, which was an utter shock to us, one of them died. And the parents of this young man demanding the body back, they were told by the US government, you cannot get your son's body back. So that applies to the rest of these troops who are going to be deployed there as well. You're taking yourself to a genocide. Yes, you've been paid millions of money. I understand the disparity, poverty amount of in Africa, but caution and look at who you're going to serve. Who are you literally servicing right here? Who are you helping right here? Because you're not helping Kenya, you're not helping Haiti, you're helping the US government literally. And that is what Haitians, because I've seen a video yesterday going viral. Haitians are so mad. Haitians are so mad at Kenya. Haitians are so mad because of what is happening. And at the same time, right now, we're talking about 90% of the gangs who have already taken control over Haiti itself. So you can tell even the people themselves are not safe. Because I've seen some buses that were trying to rescue some of their Haitians, taking them to other countries. It is crazy, and it is crazy outside there. So, I mean, Ruto is seeing this.
Without us.
Ndio nakubaliana. Somalia ni nchi, Haiti pia ni nchi kama vile Somalia. Kwa hivyo kama wanaweza enda watulize hali, ndio watoto na wamama wakuwe safe, mimi kwangu sioni ubaya.
Yeah, this one says it sees no fault of the people being deployed, because if our Kenyan troops can go there and save the mothers and the children from being displaced, then he doesn't see anything wrong with that. But he doesn't understand the same thing like the first man said, we also have problems right here in our country. Why won't we deal with that? Why are we rushing, taking billions of money to take our people outside to genocide themselves?
Wakenya wetu wanakufa huku kwetu huku Marsabit, huku Turkana, wapeleka huku jua nini? Huko si pia wana serikali.
Kule watu wanaongea French, huku Kenya
French,
zoea kuongea Kizungu.
Siko ubaya.
So kwangu sio nikiwa sawa.
Hatuna security kama hapa Kenya. Mara kwetu wameshindwa, security imewashinda, itakuwaje waenda Haiti? So watangulie kwao kwanza, waweke security kwao kwanza ndio wapeleke huko.
Exactly. So you can see majority from this video, basically most of the people are just complaining of the insecurity crisis in Marsabit, in Turkana. That is the northern parts of Kenya. We have Marsabit, we have Turkana, we have Samburu region, where we have literally people embarking. The government itself has set their goons there. There are gangs there who are funded with weapons because of the oil that is right there. And this is why we have so many people dying there. But nobody is talking about this, not even the government itself.
Now that the deployment of police to Haiti has been paused, how do you feel about it?
He's worried. This man is a dumb one, I think, in this whole video, and pardon my French.
Kama ni nchi yetu ya Kenya, kama ndio ingekuwa hali ile ya Haiti.
Haiti understands what is happening. So he's questioning, what would Haiti do if Kenya was in the same situation? Haiti understands very well that we are the same people, and they have been warning you, stop coming to participate in imperialism, because that is what basically you Kenyans are doing, and you need to stop your system to stop the deployment of their people right here. We don't need them. We don't require them. So young man, or is your age group, I'd want to literally brighten your mind that if today Kenya was in a crisis, you're going to see the UN, the EU, not even the AU itself, because it barely talks even when it comes to most of the matters of Africa. It is the least among the talking groups, which is supposed to be among the top talking groups when it comes to Africa solutions and crisis. But it's the least among the talking groups. That is the fake AU organization to talk about African matters.
Ni kidogo nimefurahia sasa. Ni nzuri, wacha wafanye tu hapa, at least wako na familia hapa, safety yao iko sawa.
Furahia sana. Koti zetu zinafanya kazi mzuri. Zikiendelea namna hiyo sasa, ukweli hakuna mtu mwenye ako juu kushinda wengine. Hata kama ni president wetu hana mamlaka ya kutumia nguvu zake, yeye ni custody wetu tu wa kutulinda, lakini si kupeleka watu waende wakufia huko Haiti.
I'm so sorry, brother. So this one says that our president has no power. Our courts are doing really amazing. But remember that when the court actually did, because the court did actually oppose this deployment. And when that happened, Ruto came and said that, yo, we have corrupt judges in this system who are literally trying to stop my motion and my projects from succeeding. So one of the projects you're talking about is the deployment of people. You're going to take people to genocide themselves, or you're literally genociding people. Because one thing we need to underline is there is 36 billion Kenyan shillings that were given to the government for this deployment to happen. First, we were given 100 and something million. Then Kithure Kindiki came and said, we require a lot of money for our training, for the weapons, for a lot of nonsense that doesn't add up. 36 billion. So whether you're saying the court is doing the good job or our president is not, the president has already said what he said. He said this is not going to stop. After another official has been signed into the seat that is in Haiti, there is no stopping. The deployment continues. So shout out to you.
Sana juu ni mandugu zetu na majirani zetu.
Exactly. This one understands Haitis are our brothers.
Hata bratangu ni askari, siwezi sikia raha akienda.
That is nice. That is so nice, and I had to share that before we get to move on. And this is the reaction. I don't know if I can find the video right. It is in the same page. I saw Haitians were so mad, angry because of what is happening. The deployment that is supposed to be happening of these troops. They were expressing their hunger, and I think this was during the weekend. But if I don't find the video, I think I'll share it later, maybe tomorrow, or maybe with you guys for those who are with us on WhatsApp. Yeah, I can't see it, but it was somewhere there. But yes, that is what is happening in Kenya, and I had to start with that amazing positive information coming from our country, where we can see people giving their expressing their thoughts regarding the deployment of Haiti, the troops to Haiti. And you can see the mixed reaction. Some people understand what is happening, others do not understand what is happening, but all in all, we are in support of Haitians. And of course, personally, it is up to the troops. Like we saw some time back, a group of them did withdraw from the mission, and I hope all of them actually do. Even the Beninians, however you want to pronounce them, I hope they also realize that this is a trap, which your government has been funded a lot of money, and they're not willing to protect you, nor your family. Nobody is going to be held accountable for any of the deaths that are going to occur there. But moving forward is about Nigeria, where we can see the Nigerian president Bola Tinubu has banned foreign trips by government officials, and they're saying the Nigerian president Bola Tinubu will introduce a 3-month ban on ministers and other government officials from going to publicly funded foreign trips. And before we even move on, that was last month. Keith and I were here on one of my shows, and we checked, including our very own dear President William Ruto. He spent 104 days, because I do remember that. It is 104 days out of the continent. And when you check most of these trips that they do attend, they say that this is to actually stabilize. They go talk about how Africa can stabilize, how countries can be out of debt, how countries can literally work 1, 2, 3 things and all that. Yeah, so what is happening in Nigeria? So we had let me check that. I got confused a little bit, and I really hate that. But let us look at the number of days that Tinubu has spent outside, because I remember for Ruto it was 104. Tinubu, I think it is 90 something, if I'm not wrong. Who has actually spent more days than the previous president, who is Buhari, because Buhari was 50 something. Then Uhuru Kenyatta was also 50 something. So let us look at let me see if I can find it. How many days has Tinubu spent outside the continent of Africa for foreign trips? So let me see if I can find that article, because it was released just a few. Yeah, this was in 19th. Yeah, I found it. I found the same article. Because remember, it was Tinubu and let me pull this down a little bit. It was Tinubu and President William Ruto who are actually brought on the map for spending so many days outside the continent of Africa. This was on 19th of February 2024, like I said last month, where we saw William Ruto and Bola Tinubu, who are named and termed Africa Flying Presidents. Okay, Africa Flying Presidents. And we saw that since Kenya's William Ruto and Nigeria's Bola Tinubu became presidents, they have faced similar criticisms over their frequent trips abroad. And the two men have been subjected of unflattering descriptions, the costs associated with their alleged payment for air and travel, often constructed with tough economic conditions at home. Exactly. Because like I said, they always say this is because, we need to talk about our economy. It is going crazy. And this is why we need to have these foreign trips and talks. Wow. How much are you spending again when you talk about economy? Because let us look at how much you spend. And we shall be looking at that. How much they have spent outside so far, leave alone the days they have spent outside. We want to check how much they have spent on these foreign trips. They're also adding that a Kenyan newspaper, The Standard, nicknamed Mr. Ruto the Flying President, and it said so great in his love of so great is his love for flying that appears that he cannot pass up any opportunity, despite pressing domestic demands such as dealing with high cost of living. Last month, Mr. Tinubu made yet another trip to Europe. Nigeria's opposition leader Atiku Abubakar said on social media that Nigeria does not need a tourist in chief. He criticized the president's private visit while Nigeria is drowning in the ocean of insecurity, and this in some ways can be seen as a cheap shot easily leveled by any critic. Presidents need to attend heads of state meeting and nature foreign relations. This is important not only for diplomatic reasons but also economic ones, as lucrative investment deals can be negotiated. And one of the personal glorifications, or some of the glorifications that we had aligned, they say that the Kenyan foreign policy analyst, Professor Macharia Munene, acknowledges that some trips are necessary, but say others are undoubtedly wasteful. And I'd say that none of them, personally, as for me, none of them are helpful. Because we're just about to check the expenditure. Because they're talking about how they go talk about economic crisis, how they're going to embetter all these development infrastructures. But how much are you spending going outside? And how much is coming in, or how much are we making? What is the development after these trips? Can we see anything? Majority of the times is a no. And this is what Macharia Monene says. You have presidents who love to be in the air. Some of these trips are personal glorifications, not so much for the country. And that is true, because we see Ruto outside all the time. We've seen our previous president outside all the time. We see Ramaphosa, the South African president, the cupcake, always outside all the time. Tinubu all the time. But I don't want to read the whole thing. Let us go to days spent abroad by the current and previous presidents. That is in the first 18 months of the Kenyan president and the first 9 months for Nigerian president. Because mind you, right now we have Tinubu, who has attained a year after his selection, which was last February. So he has attained a year so far. So William Ruto so far has spent 104 days. That is in the course of 18 months after his selection. Uhuru Kenyatta spent 95 days. Okay. Bola Tinubu has spent 71 days. And this was only we're talking about 19th February. So probably there's some days that have been added in the course of only these weeks that have been here, or this month, or before the end of February. Mohamed Buhari spent 59 days outside the continent of Africa. That is when he was president. So let us look at how much as our Kenyan president and Bola Tinubu spent for their foreign trips so far? Let us look at that. How much has President William Ruto spent for foreign trips outside Africa? Okay, so let us look at this. Okay, I can account for every shilling spent for foreign. Okay, so okay, yeah, that was in December 2023. He came out and said that he can account for every shilling he has spent on foreign trips. That was in December 2023. Because remember, people did question, or we had some officials who work under him who questioned his travels, him going outside the continent and the benefit it brings in the country. But this is what he had to say, of course, in 2023 December. I can account for every shilling being spent on foreign trips. And the President William Ruto has come out to defend his foreign trips amid criticisms from Kenyans and leaders. And speaking at a state house during a joint press interview, the president said that despite his many travels, he can account for every shilling. And the president said that through his foreign travels, Kenya has benefited from the bilateral deals that has revived stalled projects and given Kenyan jobs. Wow. Let us look at how many Kenyans are unemployed today. How many Kenyan youths are unemployed today? What is the population of the unemployed youth in Kenya? Okay, so in 20... Okay. They're giving me... I need statistics of today. I need today. Yeah, so this was in 2023, April, where we saw the number of jobless Kenyans, which rose. That was last year, April, to 2.97 million. Literally 3 million. Let's just say 3 million. 3 million unemployed people. This is in Kenya today. And that was in April last year. So I bet the number probably has gone even higher. It has not gone down. It has gone higher because we're talking about the cost of living. We've seen companies being closed. We've seen literally this is a change happening worldwide where people are losing jobs and a lot is happening when you talk about the cost of living and all that. But when he talks about his foreign trips, which has benefited Kenyans from projects and given Kenyan jobs, while we have a number of 3 million people unemployed, what is this guy talking about? And this is where people need to go back to articles and read. And personally, I love when I do research like this because it takes me back and makes me connect the dots very easily. Why can't we do that? Let us go back to what these people say. Let us look at the statistics on the ground and the performance. Is it matching the words? Majority of the times, no, they don't match. They don't match. Ruto admitted that he has traveled more than his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta and affirmed that it is because of the country. It is because that the country is now stable. It is because of that the country is now stable. The country is not stable. The economy of Kenya is crazy. The economy of Africa is literally crazy. So this man is lying. But he said that we have cut by 50% travel and entertainment budget. The figures are now supplementary budget, and that is 11 billion saved. Yes, I have traveled more than Uhuru, but not as a tourist. I have traveled to sort out the matters of Kenyans. He also says that, would you rather I sit in Nairobi and Kenya go down, or travel and make sure that we have roads and other development projects back on course? Bilateral opportunities have helped Kenyans work abroad. I can account for every shilling spent on my travel. Okay, let us look at Kenyans who are working abroad. We checked that yesterday. If you can remember, if you were on my show, we checked that yesterday. How many youths are working in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East only? Let us look at that. Let us look at that. How many Kenyans are working in the Middle East? Oh, the number has gone down because in it is 80,000. It has not changed. The Kenya Senate Standard Committee, this was an article released, that was last year, June 2023, last year. They're saying that the Kenya Senate Standard Committee on Labor and Social Welfare reports that around 80,000 Kenyans workers are in Saudi Arabia, 60,000 in the United Arab Emirates. And majority are being domestic workers. And this man, our very dear own president, is telling you his foreign trips has saved Kenyans. He has created job opportunities, number one. He is going to build roads. I mean, what roads do we have? Come on. Expressway road, which was supposed to be reducing traffic. People are getting stuck over there. What type of projects are we talking about? What type of projects are you talking about? I see John Mosquito, you're asking what is the CPI level in Kenya? What is that? What is CPI? Let me see. I don't know what you mean though. Well, let me see. What is the CPI level in Kenya? Oh, consumer price index. Oh, okay. Let me look. They're saying in February 2024, the consumer price index in Kenya slightly increased to 138 points from, that is 138.34. Oh my, this is just a crazy difference. Just a 15% increase. Just not even a 15%, but they're saying in February 2024, the consumer price index in Kenya slightly increased to 138.34 points, up from 138.15. Can you see the difference? Just a slight, very, literally similar to nothing according to me. 15 points we're talking about. That is what we have, Jerome Mosquito. That is what we have. But back to this, personally, I'm disappointed to see how these presidents are given so much respect, but there's least that they do. Least that they literally fulfill out of their manifestos. There's nothing they do in terms of development. So we've seen the statistics. We can see Ruto has spent 104 days. Uhuru Kenyatta spent 95 days. Bola Tinubu has spent 71 days. And after that, we can see today he has actually come out and is banning all the foreign trips, because they're saying, again, back to the article now, Nigeria President Bola Tinubu will introduce 3-month ban on ministers and other government officials from going on publicly funded foreign trips. Mr. Tinubu, chief of staff, said that the move was prompted by the president's concerns about the rising cost of travel expenses. Oh my God, let's look at Tinubu's expenditure. We've seen Ruto. Ruto said he can be held accountable. You know, he said he cannot sit in Kenya and in Nairobi while you don't have development of roads, no opportunities for you to go outside, look for greener pastures as a domestic worker, you know. Shout out to Ruto. Let us look at Bola Tinubu's expenses or expenditure on the foreign trips. How much has Bola Tinubu spent on foreign trips? Okay, so this, oh my God. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. Trust me, I'm not shocked. I didn't act shocked. I did not act shocked, but I am shocked a little bit. So Tinubu's trips. He has spent 3.4 billion in only 6 months. Within 6 months, 3.4 billion. Ruto said, apart from he didn't mention how much he has spent, but let us see, because I didn't read the whole thing. Ruto said that he said to have made about 48 foreign trips over the last 15 months. An analysis of Controller of Budget report since Ruto ascended to power in September last year, that was in 2022, remember, and shows that the presidency has spent 357 million. I kind of doubt it. I mean, this guy has spent most trips, which is 104 days outside continent of Africa, and Bola Tinubu has spent 71 days. But you want to say Bola Tinubu has spent much than the one who was going for more trips? It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't add up according to me. I know it's crazy, Job Mosquito. It is crazy. This is funny. You want to tell me Ruto has spent less than Tinibu? Okay, that is in 15 months. In 15 months, you want to tell me this guy has only spent 300 and what? 357 million only in 15 months. 48 foreign trips. Just 357. And Tinibu in 6 months, he has spent 3.4 billion in 6 months. Mnatupima akili na bangi na tunavuta bro na sisi tufikiri. Stop playing with people's mentality, bro. Stop playing with people. Stop playing with people's mentality. This is crazy and absurd. This is insane. This is crazy. This is crazy. 6 months, 15 months doesn't make a difference of how much has been spent. So these people are pocketing a lot of money. That is number one, what we can get from this. But let's go back to the article of why he's banning these trips, because it's talking about expenses. In the sense that the ban will take effect on 1st of April, President Tinubu and his administrations have been criticized by some for their frequent visits abroad. Since his inauguration in May, Mr. Tinubu has made more than 15 foreign trips. You had it? 15 since. So now we're talking about 15. That was this was in 2024 February, where the article was 2024 January 15th. Where is, oh my God, this is just crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. But they also had that President Tinubu and his administration have been criticized by some of their frequent visit abroad. Some of their frequent visit abroad. Since his inauguration in May, Mr. Tinubu has made more than 15 foreign trips. The Nigerian president is said to have spent at least 3.4 billion naira, that is what exactly I read on the January article, on domestic and foreign travel in the 6 months of his presidency. 36% more than the budgeted amount for 2023. Oh my God. And now you question why the cost of living in Nigeria is soaring up. You question that. The Nigerian newspaper Punch reported in January, citing the government, a civic tech platform that tracks government spendings. Mr. Tinubu, chief of staff Femi, I'll not read the other one, said that the travel ban will cut costs amid Nigeria's current economic challenges and that the need for responsible financial management. The West African country is grappling with some of their worst cost of living crisis in decades, and the situation has led to widespread hardship and anger. And do remember that was actually last month at the same time, and the beginning of this month, we had Nigerians who took it to the street because of the cost of living. We also had at the beginning of this month some stampede that actually occurred in Nigeria because there was a distribution of rice going on, and because people cannot be able to afford food and the government has been hiding food and now release it in the name of subsidy or release to distribute to people. People are literally out here and they're taking it greedily, And mind you, the people have also been appointed on those stores or areas that there's food distribution. Majority of them are so corrupt. They only give food to people they know. The same thing with the bursaries right here in Kenya. We've seen how many people will apply for bursaries. People really need it, but it's only a few get to benefit from the bursaries. Kama ujui mtu utapatiwa. If you don't know anyone, you won't benefit from it. The level of corruption in Africa is becoming crazy. And this is something that I believe these Nigerian officials should question first Tinubu. We should get answers of 3.4 billion spent outside for foreign trips. What development does Nigeria today have? Apart from what Nollywood shows you, the mansions and all that, we have people living in poverty. A large population number of people are living in poverty. And not just in poverty, people are living on sewages in Nigeria. On top of sewages. That is a norm. And Tinibu never lacks light in his house, I'm certain. The same thing when we have blackout right here in Kenya. White House haitawekosa light. Na kama itawai, itakuwa ni miujiza ya Yesu. None of these government officials, when we're having blackouts in our nation, will you go to their home and find that they are under a blackout? When we're having water crisis as a nation, you'll find these people, their tap waters are running. When you're talking about the cost of living going super crazy, these people are grabbing lands and benefiting, even from not taking away the lands that are controlled by the British farmers or the British government. It is crazy and it is so sad. But along with that, we can see that actually on the crisis of, as we talk about the trips and him banning the trips, instead of him actually talking about how they can deal with the security or lack of matters of insecurity in the country, he has said, remember this week he said that he shall not, that was on Monday, they shall not pay any ransoms to free the children and women that have been kidnapped in Nigeria. But yes, on this other end of Nigeria, we can see that a hosted negotiator has told the BBC that paying ransoms may be illegal, yet it is the only way families can be guaranteed the release of their relatives kidnapped by the gangs terrorizing swathes of northern Nigeria. The question is, why are these people being attacked? So on Monday, we are following up this story, and we saw this is because of the oil. This is why we have people being displaced. Copy and paste DRC Congo. People are being displaced because of gold mining, because of gold in that country. People are being killed because of their lands, so that people can literally exploit our nation and our continent. But who's the beneficiary? And I'm glad that the topic of today actually is about why we have military bases in Africa. Military bases set up in Africa. Do we question why we have the US military bases right here? And why we don't have our very own bases in China, in Asia, in Canada, in UK to protect us? But these people have their bases right here to always protect their people. A current one, a very recent one and a fresh one. The US Embassy in Kenya warned their citizens about the rising matter of insecurity in this country. We had to hear this from an embassy warning its citizen, but not Ruto coming to talk about it. It's not Kenyans being warned here, it's the US citizen. So why wouldn't we have also a Kenya-based embassy in the UK or Canada or Australia somewhere where we can also be warned when our lives are in danger? Oh, you're a black man walking. That's what's up, you know. But they say that Suleiman, whose name has been changed to protect his identity, is from Kaduna State, where 280 children were recently abducted from in the northern town of Kuriga, sorry. And he has been working informally in the controversial and risky role for several years since some of his relatives were taken hostage. And he says we have to negotiate. You cannot use force to get hostage back. It will put their lives of loved ones in danger. Suleiman first became involved in negotiation with the kidnappers referred to locally as bandits in 2021, a year before the payment of ransoms became illegal in Nigeria. Over the last 3 years, he has negotiated the release of more than 200 hostage, a small fraction of the thousands of people abducted over the last decade. The negotiations take patience and courage. And he also says that the government believes I have been helping the bandits, saying that the bandits think I have been getting money from the government. So it is vice versa. His first negotiation took place as he was trying to raise a ransom around $12,500 of two of his relatives who had been abducted. And he says, I did not know what I was doing. I was just speaking with the bandits and begging them to release my people. However, his patience approach with the gang members worked in the end, and his relatives were freed though he had to sell his farm and his home village to cover the ransom. This is crazy. This is so crazy. And this is why you have to lose your property, because the government has failed to do its work. Tinubu is actively outside for foreign trips to talk about security crises, which is not willing to solve. So, I mean, what's up, Tinubu? What's going on? We need some answers as Africans, because you and Ruto, there's something you're not telling us. There's something you're not telling us. But on to the next one is about Zimbabwe before I get to the major focus of the day, because I see my time is out. Where we can see the Zimbabwe mining boss, they're calling her a boss, as being arrested again. Remember last year she was arrested and then I think she was released. We talked about it where we saw she's not going to even go nowhere. This is always a show. As for me, I know this is a show. Our government is working and all that. It's crazy. The president of Zimbabwe Miners Federation has been arrested for fraud for allegedly attempting to sell 3 mines she doesn't own. Police spokesperson Paul Nyathi told the media that Henrietta Rushways had been taken into police custody after a complaint had been received about mining transaction. Mr. Nyathi added that Mrs. Rushways or Rushwaya, I don't know, Rushwaya. Why is she called a Rushwaya? Mr. Reddy added that Miss Rushwaya was assisting the police with investigation and that she appeared in court on Wednesday and the state prosecutor opposed the bail. Last year, Mrs. Rushwaya was convicted to trying to smuggle gold over worth $330,000 out of Zimbabwe in 2020, and she was a central figure in the Al Jazeera Gold Mafia documentary, which exposed how huge amounts of gold had been smuggled out of Zimbabwe to the United Emirates. And she was scot-free. She was arrested last year. I mean, how did she end up being arrested again if she was not being detained? So this is what we're talking about again. A system that, especially she was working with the US government. There's nothing that is meant to change until revolution happens. All this will keep on. That's the same thing I was reporting yesterday about the UN, right? Where we've seen and observed the UN has been reporting cases of humanitarian abduction or humanitarian crisis, sex trafficking. People are making billions, criminals, because they said criminals are making billions out of sex trafficking. That is what they said yesterday. And we check back how many articles the UN has released of sex trade, millions being made out of sex trade. Oh, this is articles that have been coming from what I saw since 1986. They have been releasing information every year about billions being made out of sex trade and slavery. But has anyone been held accountable? No. That is the same thing we see right here. All these officials who are always caught all smuggling, corruption, the same thing we saw yesterday with the South Africa speaker being arrested and being detained to be questioned about corruption. It is all a show. This is all a show. To the Africans, those who understand or think politics is working or politicians are busy, they're not. They are not. And this is why Ruto can pass the housing levy bill and none of us is even talking about this. I was expecting people to take even to the road and demonstrate about it. I mean, you guys are just sitting, allowing your salaries being deducted. Thank God I don't get paid through any of that system. Because I'd complain personally. How much are you earning a month? How many bills do you have to pay? And then you have your salary being deducted in the name of housing levy bill. All a show. And that is all I'm gonna say on that. I don't even want to report much about this because we're gonna see her being released. We're gonna see maybe probably after months again she has been arrested trying to, take gold somewhere and all that. But nothing is going to happen seriously. But to the major focus of today and before that, I want to wish Senegal the best of their election that is supposed to be held this Sunday. Because remember, elections in Senegal were supposed to be happening early this year, but they were actually pushed ahead, which was supposed to be happening in December 15. But the High Court of Senegal came and said this is unconstitutional, and they did set the day to be the 24th of this year, and this month. So Senegal is going to be, they're going to be taking it to the polls. That is this Sunday. We're going to be seeing what is happening, and of course on Monday we'll be reporting on that. But to the major focus and the conversation of today is about this video. I want to share this as we get to wind up, where we can see the US openly admitting why they have their military bases right here. In that video, you shall be hearing about them seeking influence, exploitation of resources, and a whole lot more. So you as an African, there's a question and there's answers you need to be given here.
Global events ranging from Russia's Federation's war in the Ukraine. People like you. Today's global events ranging from Russia's Federation's war in the Ukraine to the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea direct the lives of millions of Africans. Terrorism, poverty, food insecurity, climate change, and mass migration.
Shout out to Medo. Thank you so much for being with us since the beginning. Joel Mosquito, Alexandra, Yusuf, to everyone who is actually right here with me on TikTok. I appreciate you guys.
Shatter African lives. These factors sow the seeds of violent extremism and Russian exploitation across entire regions of the continent. AFRICOM's campaign revolves around central themes of ensuring strategic access, countering threats to the homeland and U.S. interests, preparing for and responding to crisis, and lastly, bolstering our allies and partners. This
responding to crisis. Why are you responding to crisis in Africa? Why can't Africa respond itself?
Campaign places our African partners at the center, achieving positive change by executing African-led and U.S.-enabled operations focused on our shared objectives. In today's dynamic environment, our whole of government partners require appropriate resourcing. I strongly advocate for our State Department and USAID partners to receive the resources they need to guarantee our combined success. I would also like to highlight a campaign that benefits from our Congress, which supports the African Center of Strategic Studies, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary.
Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Zoa 254. Shout out to Kima. Shout out to Tony. I see a lot of you passing by. Shout out to John Kamari. Hope you guys are doing great. And Karibuni sa. Shout out to Mabunde. Sijasikia jina in a while. Shout out to Henry Moruki. Karibu sana.
In Africa, modest investments and resources go a long way towards achieving our national security interests. Africa faces many challenges, but also offers
to DJ Lambo
even more opportunities. With our African partners at the forefront, reinforced by our efforts and the efforts of our allies, we will continue to gain lasting stability, security, and prosperity on this crucial continent. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Crucial continent. And this a whole African man. This is a whole melanin talking here. You know, this is just a whole. Anyway, continue.
To be here today, and I look forward to answering.
I believe this. I've seen the video of this man, and I've shared this before. I think one time on the Africa Today. She's the same guy who was explaining how they train their forces, how they deploy them to Africa, different. That is actually including the military bases. There's a video of him that circulated online, him explaining all that very, very well. Shout out to Josie.
Your questions.
Sure, Langley, can you talk about why we care about what's happening in Africa right now? I mean, if you tell the American taxpayer, why are we there? Why are we spending the money we're spending there?
So Americans pay taxes. That is you guys remember me asking the same thing some time back. Do the taxes, or do most of the people or Americans know the taxes they pay are the same funds being used to fund wars in most of the parts of the world? Like what is happening in Israel right now? Israel-Gaza war. What is happening in Congo, Sudan, Tigray, Djibouti, in so many parts of Africa. Right now, they're attacking Burundi for trying to help Congolese. So that is we just got an answer here. What would you explain to an American taxpayers why we use the money to be in these bases? So you use American taxes basically to fund wars. This is so pathetic.
Thanks for the question, Senator. For access and influence.
Oh.
I'd say that a number of countries are at the tipping point of actually being captured by the Russian Federation, as they are spreading some of their false narratives across Libya. And from a strategic answer piece, access influence across the whole Maghreb, that is NATO's southern flank. We need to be able to maintain access and influence across the Maghreb from Morocco all the way to Libya. The PRC and Russia are also remaining exploitative where possible and coercive when necessary. They want that ground. They want power projection capabilities. So for the most part, the rest of the continent is also for mining concessions, whether it be gold or rare earth minerals. Both of them have a long-range plan. But I think at the accelerated pace, the Russian Federation is really trying to take over Central Africa as well as the Sahel.
The question arises is, what are we doing in terms of an information campaign to try to inform governments and the people of the dangers that these groups, not just Wagner groups, but other...
Njoroge Kamau, Shadrach, shout out to Jack of all TRA, shout out to Baba Kemba, Babu Kemba. Big up to you and to everyone with me.
Entities opposing.
Chairman, thanks for that question, because I would say the Russian Federation's narrative drowned out the U.S. governments in the past years. They were accelerant. The Russian Federation, not just through Wagner, stoked a lot of the instability across the Sahel. They did this through misinformation, disinformation campaigns. So I see how we could double down in our efforts is through our own information campaign, but matched with our assurance efforts across the whole of government, just not building military and security capacity, but all the story needs to be told about the successes of USAID and State Department collectively in all of our operations, activities, and investments.
And that requires additional resources, I presume.
Yes, Chairman, it certainly does, especially in information operations.
With respect to where we don't have ambassadors, I really appreciated both of you talking about a whole of government approach that you're doing in your areas of responsibility, because as you point out, there isn't a military solution in these countries. And I wanted to show this map. You can see by the pins where we do not have ambassadors in Africa and also in Turkmenistan. So we have 8 open missions in Africa. The African Union in Zimbabwe, Nigeria, the biggest, most populous country in Africa, Cabo Verde, Djibouti, where, as Senator Wicker pointed out, the Chinese have a base, Liberia, Somalia, Burundi, and Burkina Faso also do not have an ambassador in Turkmenistan and CENTCOM. So how important is it for us to have ambassadors in the countries where you're operating to help us move the missions that we have in these countries? I'd ask both of you to respond to that.
Senator, it's very essential that we have, especially with our whole of government approach. Our African partners understand.
Partners. It is always the partners. It is always the partnering nonsense. You know, shout out to you, Wallace. Big up to you. Hope you're doing great. It's nice to see you. Partners. It is always partners. You know, we're partnering in this, we're partnering in that, we're partnering in this. But Africans get to suffer the most when it comes to this partnership. We benefit the least amount of everything. Amount of resources, amount of exploitation being done upon us with the least.
Understand that we're here to help them reach their
Shout out to you, Nancy Tashra, to Poison Ivy.
Overall,
shout out to Mari Debs, DXB.
national
Debs.
Goals of stability and security. But when we bring our assurance actions and our African campaign plan
Shout out to Steve O.
and say 3D, they said, okay, then why aren't we important enough to have an ambassador? And so it does draw a strategic communication that can be exploited and leveraged by the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China. It is certainly essential.
Thank you. And I would point out that the PRC has ambassadors in all of those countries.
The West wants the world to remain the way it is. Africans suffering, the West living up high, right? Just as
Africans on the bottom, always. That is what is basically what they are saying there. They're for partnership. They're here for security crisis. This is a crucial country that demands help from them and all that. When will Africa stand for itself? And it will take us having leaders like, Ibrahim Traoré, that is coming from Burkina Faso. It will take us leaders like, the Niger junta, whose name I never get to capture, which shall take us juntas like the ones in Mali. That is the three so far democratic countries we have: Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. It will take such kind of leaders for us to be able to kick out these groups of people. Do you remember these three groups? These three countries have been able to kick out the UN peacekeepers. This weekend, we saw actually Niger coming out and saying that the US should also kick out. They have been there spying in the name of trying to operate the terrorism, handle the terrorism and all that. And Niger said, hell no, you're here to exploit resources. You're here to protect what you are about to exploit, and we don't want you here. We've seen them actually also not wanting anything to do with reports coming from the French newspapers, like, we don't need you reporting anything coming from us or our continent or our country. We shall produce our own information. And we've seen through how the cat with the small hats out there, them being the one that they control the media, the world, and all that. Everything about Africa is always feeding their narrative, but not Africans' narrative. So it is so crazy. So crazy. Shout out to you, Babylicious, and it is so crazy. But that is the conversation I had for you today. Asanteni sana. I've taken so much time right here, but it's been an amazing one. I hope for those who shall be catching this on a replay, you get to enjoy. Let me know what are your thoughts regarding Kenyans' reviews, them understanding what is happening with the deployment of our troops to Haiti. Let me know what are your thoughts regarding Nigeria president. That is him banning foreign trips to the ministers and most of the government officials. And what we've seen actually for him, he has spent so far, that is 71 days, and he has spent 3.4 billion in 6 months. William Ruto has spent 357 million, which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's been both. You can see they have been out for the last 15. No, for Tinubu it's 6 months. For William Ruto, it's 15 months that he has been outside. That is 104 days, and he claims he has spent 357 million. I kind of doubt it, and this is why we had BBC, removing or giving us an article about them, the Africa flying presidents. That was February this year. And let me know what are your thoughts also regarding what is happening with this video that I shared here today. And the Senegal elections, what are your expectations that shall be conducted this coming Sunday? But nonetheless, family, I'm coming to the end of today's conversation. Jiba Jabba, good day to you too. I don't know if you're joining or if you have been here listening, but if so or if not, I hope you get to enjoy the rest part of your day. And if you've been here, or rather if you've been listening silently, I hope you have enjoyed. And in case you're joining, kindly catch the show because it's been amazing and you will enjoy it because I have. Asanteni sana for everyone who has been with us. Shout out to you, Joe Mosquito. I appreciate. Shout out to Medo Nashkuru sana. I hope you have enjoyed today's conversation. Thank you so much, and follow us if this is your first time right here. You do get to catch up with these shows every single day from 12:30 to 1:30. Sometimes we go extend 2 hours. It depends with how much time we have. But shout out to also Pira1. Hey, Pira. See, Peter, ni Pira. Hey, sawa. Asante sawa for tuning in. But anyway, shout out to Jibajaba says, thank you. I shall catch this the show on a replay. Asante sana also for catching up or for tuning in. But have an amazing rest part of your day. I am out. See you guys later on the Black Kings frequency.
And you're tuning into the Black Hot Fire Radio. And you listen to Massive Wagwan. Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, they are reaching out to all the massive on the African continent. And you're tuning into the Pan-African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Joby, from Monday to Friday. Stay tuned. Andrew Robinson, love, respect, and justice.
Big up to Dr. Juma. Big up to Gecko K. Geo Kamani Gecko. I don't know. Geo K. I don't know. Shout out to you. Yes, remember to come back for the KNSBHFN countdown. Just in a few.